everyone. It's good to see you this evening. Thank you for joining us at this February 27th, 2023 Eugene City Council meeting. Thank you for joining us in this hybrid meeting format. Anybody wishing to access the meeting can do so by watching the live stream available on our website, the broadcast on Comcast Channel 21, or by following the access instructions listed for this meeting on the city's public webcasts and meeting materials web page. Tonight's meeting will include a public forum. If you wish to speak during the public forum and have not already done so, please fill out a request to speak form available on our public webcast and meeting materials web page. For those of you who are here in person, printed forms are available at the entrance to the room. We'll accept requests to speak forms until 7:35. These requests to speak forms will be used to generate the random order of speakers and correctly enter the speakers' names into the public record. For those of you who are joining the meeting by phone who wish to provide testimony and are unable to complete the request to speak form online, press *9 when the form is announced, and the last 3 digits of your phone number will be added to the speaker's queue. And as a reminder, just a few meeting rules of conduct. We do not allow for flags, signs. We discourage loud or disruptive language, noise, or any conduct that obstructs the business of council, and ask that you maintain a quiet and respectful audience so that everyone has an opportunity to speak and to be heard and to feel comfortable and safe doing so. And you are always welcome to wiggle your fingers to show a sign of support. And additionally, we encourage anyone who is not feeling well or have had close contact with anyone who's not feeling well to join our meetings remotely rather than in person. And I see the attendees are nicely spread out, and to wear a mask if you feel comfortable doing so. And we do have a supply in the back of the room. And with that, I will now formally begin the meeting with a land acknowledgement. Since time immemorial, the Kalapuya people have been the indigenous stewards to our region, building dynamic communities, maintaining balance with wildlife, and enacting sustainable land practices. Today's land acknowledgement is a way of resisting the erasure of indigenous histories and of honoring Native communities by inviting truth and reconciliation. Following the treaties between 1851 and 1855, Kalapuya people were dispossessed of their indigenous homeland by the United States government and forcibly removed to the Coast Reservation in Western Oregon. As we consider the impacts of colonization, we also acknowledge the strength and resiliency of displaced indigenous people. The city of Eugene is built within the traditional homelands known as the Kalapuya Ilihi. Kalapuya descendants are citizens of the Confederated Tribes of Grand Ronde Community of Oregon and the Confederated Tribes of the Siletz Indians of Oregon. They continue to make contributions in our communities here and across the lands. We express our respect for the inherent political sovereignty of all federally recognized tribal nations and indigenous people who live in the state of Oregon and across the nation. And now our first item of business is committee reports and items of interest. So are there councilors who have something to share from a meeting or an item? Councilor Keating and Councilor Semple.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to thank you for strongly denouncing the vile anti-Semitic leafleting in our community. I stand with your strong words and in denouncing such vile activity in our community. And while I'm thankful that the City of Eugene, the Human Rights Commission, and the Eugene Police Department are taking these matters seriously, I am saddened and I am frustrated that to learn that such vitriolic activity may fall just short of a biased crime. Nevertheless, I encourage residents to report such behavior or such activity, such incidents of hate and intimidation to local law enforcement, to Oregon's Department of Justice, and to the FBI. As you've made it so clear, Mayor, hate has no place in our community. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilor Keating. And Councilor Semple.
It's snowing. I love the snow. I'm from back east. I know not everybody does. I hope it doesn't get slippery. tomorrow night Egan's open, but tonight when it's going to be very cold and wet, it is not. And I hope someday we can be cognizant of that wet and 34, 35 is much more dangerous than freezing at 28 because it's dry then. So keep all good thoughts for our friends who are outside tonight. It's going to be nasty. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that reminder. Any, Councillor Leach?
Yes, I also want to personally condemn the actions of the people spreading the anti-Semitic flyers. We all deserve to live in a place where we feel like we belong. And there's no place here for any messages that spread division and hate. But yesterday I had the opportunity to canvass with members of the social justice committees of the River Road Community Organization and the Santa Clara Community Organization, as well as several other social justice groups in our community. And it was a heartfelt effort to spread love, accurate information, and resources on how to report other instances of things like this. So I want to personally thank all of the people who came out during our rainy weather yesterday and help with that effort.
Thank you. Any other comments? I will just mention that I attended services at Temple Beth Israel on Friday night to show solidarity, and that I encourage any of you who have the time and the capacity to join them in their Friday night services. It's really a lovely service, and it is a wonderful way to be together in community and just show support. So every community needs support at different times, and right now there's a particular concern about anti-Semitism. So thank you all for speaking to that. And with that, I think we're ready to move on to the consent calendar.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to approve the items on consent calendar 1.
Second?
All in favor, please raise your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I guess that's all we have. Oh, I'm not seeing
Councilor
Alan.
Clark, yes.
And I've got Councilor
Aye.
Clark. There we go. We got 7. Thank you very much. That passes. And with that, we're ready for the public forum. The public forum is an opportunity for individuals to speak to the city council on any city-related issues except for those items which have already been heard by a hearings official. And I will turn to staff to share the list and the total number of speakers who have signed up by the 7:35 deadline and announce the first speakers.
Hi, Mayor. We have 28 speakers, and I just need one more moment to
Okay.
sort the list.
Okay. And just a little reminder that you have 2.5 minutes to speak, and we limit the time to 90 minutes altogether. So with 28, we should be fine. But it's always helpful to folks if you can be succinct, and makes more time and room for others. So with that, we'll just wait for the list.
you share my screen while I read? No. Well, maybe. Okay. Thank you everyone for your patience. The list will be shared shortly. If you have signed up to speak via Zoom, please take this time to ensure that your screen name in Zoom matches the first and last name you used to sign up to speak. If your screen name does not match, we cannot promote you to a panelist to speak when it is your turn. Staff will announce 2 speakers' names at a time. If you are providing testimony via Zoom, when it is your turn, we will announce your name and promote you to panelist status, and you can unmute and turn on your camera if you wish. If you are announced as the next speaker and physically in the room, please move to the seat in the front row designated for the next speaker. When it is your turn, you may come to the podium. When you are called to speak, please state your name clearly, and for Eugene residents, your ward or neighborhood if known, before beginning your comments. You will have 2.5 minutes to speak. If you are watching the meeting, the timer should be visible. A yellow light will come on when you have 15 seconds to complete your comments. The red light indicates the end of the 2.5 minutes. For those who have connected to the meeting via phone and don't have the benefit of seeing the timer, please be aware that your microphone will be muted at the 2.5 minute mark. Please note that screen sharing or displaying information on the screen is not allowed, and any misuse of the platform or violation of the council's code of conduct will result in immediate termination of speaking privilege. If you have documents to give council, please place them in the council inbox basket near the podium. Our first speaker will be Lynn Woodrich. We're moving Lynn Woodrich. Just a second.
Hi, my name's Lynn Woodrich. I'm the active Bethel Community Co-Chair. I've lived in the Bethel area over 25 years. I'll be living in Ward 6 until June. Then we'll move back to my home in the Bethel portion of Ward 8. I'm speaking for the active Bethel Community Board. We sent you a letter of support for the Public Health Overlay Zone and risk bonds and another supporting electrification. As I've mentioned many times before, there's a desperate need for a public health overlay zone in West Eugene. We look forward to the follow-up work session. I can't stress enough the necessity of implementing this policy for protecting the lives of the most vulnerable people living in the Bethel community. We don't want to ever see another J.H. Baxter type polluting business in our area. Thank you again for passing an ordinance banning the new gas infrastructure in new low-rise residential construction, considering growing concerns about indoor air quality and pollution. You're acting to protect children from conditions that are associated with childhood asthma and simultaneously mitigating the effects of methane on climate change. We're prepared to begin working on our Bethel area plan as soon as we're given the tools from you to begin. If you're interested in our Bethel Visioning survey results, let me know and I will send them to you. Implementing the public health overlay zone and risk bonds are a critical first step in a more equitable and sustainable future for our neighborhood. We strongly urge you to support these measures and to schedule a work session in the near future for our Bethel area plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. Next, we will hear from Hannah Nguyen. Hannah Nguyen, followed by Peter Dragovich.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Hannah Nguyen, and I am a senior attending the University of Oregon. As someone who is passionate about environmental justice and public health, I encourage City Council to support the development of the Public Health Overlay Zone as it provides an efficient means to protect communities throughout the Eugene area. Toxics and pollutants are known to create adverse health conditions, and establishing an area that prevents toxic land uses and creates a separation between industrial facilities and residential, park, and school zones can make a huge difference in ensuring that Eugene residents do not have to face the impacts of toxic exposure and other negative health impacts. There are other policies that reflect a similar purpose as this one. For instance, the Clear Lake Overlay Zone can be used as a model to guide the creation of the Public Health Overlay Zone. The Clear Lake Overlay Zone shows that these policies can be implemented as a means to respond to and respect community wishes surrounding environmental and public health. Moreover, it has been proved that industrial facilities such as J.H. Baxter, a wood treatment facility located in Eugene, has exposed the Eugene community to toxic pollutants, specifically dioxin, to community members' homes and backyards. Dioxin is known to cause cancer and other life-changing health issues. It is clear that this example shows the need for the community to be separated from the danger of the production of toxic chemicals. No one should be in danger of being exposed to cancer-causing chemicals in their own homes. In summary, I feel strongly about the development of the Public Health Overlay Zone, and I hope that City Council can too recognize the reasons to support this creation in order to support the Eugene community and its residents. Additionally, I would like to invite City Council to attend a community meeting that Beyond Toxics will be holding next Tuesday from 6 to 7:30 at the Willamette High School in the media room that will further discuss the Public Health Overlay Zone. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Hannah. Next, we will hear from Peter Dragovich, followed by Natalie Crowder.
Peter Dragovich, Ward 5. Mayor and councilors, thank you for passing the electrification ordinance. It's an important step in securing a healthy future for our children and all life on the planet. I was approached by petition signature gatherers paid for by Northwest Natural who are placing the ordinance before the voters. I don't oppose the voters reviewing it, but I do oppose the untruths stated by the gatherers to induce me to sign the petition. I'm concerned if this is what $1 billion company that has already put over $500,000 into the petition gathering phase is willing to tolerate, it does not bode well for an informed public decision. My interactions with Northwest gatherers were in front of the main post office and in front of a public event I attended in the Whitaker. I was told the ordinance applies to businesses occupying a new location for that business and to new buildings constructed for businesses, and that, quote, restaurants in particular will be hit very hard. All untrue. I was told if I wanted to expand or remodel my personal residence, the ordinance imposes a new process for me to go through. Untrue. It was stated the ordinance is a thick legal document. Untrue. It's mercifully short at 1.5 pages, as you know. It was stated the city council passed this ordinance without adequate public review and that, quote, proof of it being rushed is the adoption date was February 6th and it was signed by the mayor the very next day. All new ordinances are signed within 1 to 4 days of being passed, and many signed the next day. And this ordinance received more public review than any other in recent memory. So all of the above totally untrue, simply said to work up anger and to induce a signature. If the company responsible is willing to tolerate that level of misinformation, what does that bode for the discussion leading up to a public vote? How does the Chamber of Commerce tolerate that behavior from one of its members? Can the city put out a simple fact sheet, maybe? The well-funded level of misinformation the public is encountering is truly colossal. Thank you for the opportunity to comment.
Thank you, Peter. Next, we will hear from Natalie Crowder. Natalie, I'm promoting you to panelist. All right. Natalie, you're muted. Go ahead and unmute. After Natalie Crowder, we will hear from Deborah McGee. Natalie, you're still on mute.
Oh, there you are.
Thank you. We can hear you.
Okay, great. Thank you. I've not done this as I was actually going to come to the city council meeting tonight, but unfortunately my home had no electricity for 5 hours in the Santa Clara area. And I just want to say how uncomfortable that was to not have electricity in my home because I had no heat. But I do have a wood fireplace and I do have a gas stove that I was able to light and have a warm dinner tonight. What I wanted to come and say was that I've been taking petitions around to Ward 5 and Ward 7 constituents. I have visited many homes in the Ward 5 areas, and I've knocked on many doors with resounding sentiment from the neighborhood that says that the city council should have put this to the public vote. They feel that their energy choice was taken away by 5 members of this council. I only had one person refuse to sign, and his reason was that he felt that we were wasting taxpayers' money and paper for all these special elections. Councillor Clark and Councillor Evans and Councillor Groves, I want to commend you for your vote to put this to the public. Councillor Clark, I also want to say in Ward 5, I got numerous thank yous to you on your stand for representing your constituents. For Ward 7 constituents, I visited many homes that are still very unhappy because they had no representation in Ward 7. Because Lindsay, you did not represent them by voting no. I also want to say that I was also at that meeting, Lindsay, and the thing I want to tell you is one of the persons says they have you on Zoom going on their Ring camera, going to their no soliciting. You left something on their door. You quote unquote, I am seriously need to know how disappointed I am in city councilor who would blatantly disregard a reasonable request not to litter his doorway. This man also got the anti-Semitic thing on his thing last week. So Lindsay, I'm not sure you did a good.
Natalie, thank you, Natalie. Your time has concluded. Next, we'll hear from Deborah McGee, followed by Jim New.
Good evening, Mayor Venus, City Councilors, Manager Maderi. My name is Deborah McGee. Eugene's been my city for 40 years. I live in the county. Northwest Natural is not being factual. They want to say ordinance opposition is grassroots. Then why'd they have to pay $35 an hour for petitioners everywhere, every day? They got lots of money, their profit's so high. But people waking up, we can see their lies. We're being gaslight, greenwashed, pulling wool right over our eyes. It comes as no surprise, but we could get wise. If we go clean and healthy, makes Northwest Gas even less wealthy. Sneaky corporations trying to sell you the belief that breathing gas fumes in your home really spells relief. Energy choice, just like the choice of lead in paint. Toxins in your home can make you near faint. Seatbelts, what a hassle, but they save many lives. Not having more injured neighbors helps us all thrive. Eugene residents for energy choice. And just who is it speaking that voice? Moms and pops with $20 donations? No, it's the gas company spending millions across the nation. $651,000 Northwest donation to Energy Eugene Choice. Does that sound to you like a grassroots voice? And seriously, the chamber and some of the entities that signed on to oppose, I wonder if it is the facts they know. The health harms of breathing gas in your home, the leaking fugitive emissions into our atmosphere that roam, less snowpack, more fires, weather weirding. It's for stable climate I'm yearning, and those problems, they come from fossil fuel burning. Is the priority money, profits over people? Oh, they spend millions trying to convince us sheeple. We citizens of Eugene can't fix everything that's gone wrong, but this we can do, and we're pressing on. We'll speak the truth, we'll cast our vote, examine the science, it does not lie. We'll all feel better looking our children in the eye. Whatever happens next, Council, it will remain as your legacy, that your vote jump-started the clean energy future we need. Thank you.
Thank you, Deborah. Next, we will hear from Jim New, followed by Jacob True.
Mayor, City Council, and City Manager. My name is Jim New. I live in Ward 7. Some of you may have heard the recent experience of being asked to sign the referendum petition to get the recent electrification ordinance on a future ballot. The petitioners representing Eugene residents for Energy Choice are a bit aggressive in their approach and are totally spreading false information in their delivery. Their employer, Northwest Gas, has spent more than $650,000 on what is called a grassroots campaign. There's nothing grassroots about a multi-million-dollar fossil fuel energy provider using customer revenue to fund a campaign of false information. I thought the PUC regulates what utilities can spend customer revenue on. The signature gatherers are misleading the public with statements such as the city has taken away your energy choice, is coming to remove your gas appliances, banning gas in all buildings, and that gas appliances will work in a power outage. They are also initially aggressive in their approach until you start asking them questions and calling them out on their falsehoods. Then they can't retreat fast enough. What is the most disturbing is that members of the Chamber of Commerce are directly involved in the referendum process, rubber stamping the falsehoods of a fossil fuel industry. The referendum campaign manager of Funk Levitz Association is a chamber board member, and along with chamber president, have involved Travel Lane County in their fight as they are all board members. How do the voices of a few speak for so many board members? If you will recall, the Chamber of Commerce and its president were one of the large lever shareholders supporting the Climate Action Plan 2.0 formulation process and are now leading a campaign to reverse the goals of the CRO. Talk about hypocrisy and sleazy politics. I hope the mayor and council take note of all these dirty deeds and endorse the proponents of the electrification ordinance. At least the mayor and 5 councilors that voted for the ordinance should publicly endorse it. And I thank you for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Next, we'll hear from Jacob True, followed by Joshua Korn. Go ahead, Jacob.
Good evening. My name is Jacob True, and I live in Ward 1. That's Emily Simple's ward. I organize with Eugene Springfield DSA. As a resident of Ward 1, I would like to speak on the City of Eugene ballot initiative rules. As you know, Northwest Natural Gas is funding a massive signature gathering campaign in opposition to the electrification ordinance you passed a few weeks ago. Thank you for your vote, by the way. I do appreciate that. They've dropped $650,000 already on this campaign and have been able to field a whole army of paid signature gatherers. The City of Eugene rules stipulate that all signatures for a ballot initiative campaign be collected in 100 days. You can see where this is going, right? This basically means that only rich corporations and folks that can afford to hire signature gatherers are able to get ballot initiatives through in a timely fashion. Because once you've collected the first signature, you got to get them all within 100 days. Statewide and on the county level, they allow basically up to 2 years to be able to collect enough signatures to get something on the ballot. Your rules, by stipulating that you only have 100 days to collect all these, basically means that we're hearing the voices of the well-heeled and the well-connected corporate folks more than the common folks, the working class folks that we have here in the city. Above and beyond that, just want to say thank you for your votes and appreciate it. Have a good night.
Thank you, Jacob. Next, we will hear from Joshua Korn, followed by Mead Grable.
Hi. Last time I was talking about the dangers of 5G and wireless technology and kind of the elephant in the room as far as like, okay, if these things are so dangerous, where are the bodies piling up? And I want to address that more directly here and speak to the voiceless, because I mean, for example, I heard from Ingrid Edstrom earlier today. She was trying to make it down here, had trouble with she's been horribly ill because a 5G transmitter was installed 1,200 feet from her home and couldn't get the Zoom thing figured out today and apparently couldn't make it down here. She wanted to talk today. These are contributing factors. There's all kinds of contributing factors that lead to various health conditions. And the Environmental Health Trust is one of the very trusted organizations out there who put together this low EMF checklist of how you can protect yourself and your family. One of the ways is keeping wireless devices away from your bedroom and turning off the Wi-Fi at night when you're sleeping, because then you'll get better rest and recover quicker. So I'll put this in here so you can review it. I'll also remind you that Environmental Health Trust was the lead plaintiff in federal case 20-1025, which basically struck down the FCC's not following real science. And by the way, reason I'm wearing these is the blue light in this room and many rooms makes it hard for my eye to heal. This is all explained in that document that I'm leaving here for you. So thank you. Lots more to talk about, but next time. Thanks.
Thank you, Joshua. Next, we will hear from Mead Grable, followed by Carol Zorn. Mead, are you in the room? It appears that Mead is not in the room, so I am going to promote Carol Zorn to panelist. Give me just a moment. All right, Carol, you're in. Go ahead and unmute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right. So I was kind of shocked that the other day I was at Barnes and Noble. My daughter went in to look for 30, 40, 45 minutes. You know how it is when you go to Barnes and Noble. But I stayed out in the car and there was a petition man with a petition and he was very polite. He stopped almost everyone coming and going. And I wanted to know what the petition was about. And I was kind of shocked that it was about the natural gas and having it go on the ballot. And I thought, oh, great. So he was very polite. He didn't say anything to anybody derogatory or stop them, make them sign his petition. And I didn't hear anything that wasn't true what he was saying. He had a script and he read it very nicely. And a lot of people signed that petition and they were willing and happy to do it. So I'm wondering what that makes you guys feel when you took it upon yourself to take that choice away from your constituents. I was kind of shocked that it was happening. And I'm hoping that it actually does go on the ballot so we can see. And when it does go on the ballot, you guys can see that maybe what you vote for is not what your constituents want. That's about it. And you guys were talking about your budget and open spaces and stuff, and you've got a lot of work ahead of you. Just think outside the box a minute. How about privatizing some of these open spaces? Sell them off, give them to the public, whoever has the best or most money, sell them off. You got streets that need repair, use that money for that. Because if it's private property, people can't camp on it without permission. Just a thought. And I just want to say a prayer for Turkey right now. Lord, I lift up Turkey to you, Lord. That place is getting shook so much. And they need you, Lord, to stop the earth from shaking. Give them the resources they need to face this horrible calamity.
Thank you, Carol. Your time has concluded. Next, we'll hear from Nancy Ho-Hewberry, followed by Dwayne Miller.
Evening. My name's Nancy Hornbury, and I came here to talk on behalf of several friends of mine. We are in a kind of a dilemma in senior housing to where I had to move and 3 other my friends had to move because I'm on a fixed income and they gave us 14% increase in our rent, which means that the small amount that I received on my Social Security was taken away before I even had a chance. A lot of the people are considering moving out and being displaced because we've looked around the city to find reasonable housing and the prices are going up. I know they're going up in all different areas. That's kind of the dilemma we're facing right now. And tightening the belt isn't going to be a solution. And there isn't any way of some of the people and myself included to find significant amount of cash that could get me into affordable housing like I had at Eugene Hotel. So consequently, I had to move to the coast, which I didn't like because of the medical situation. Is better in Eugene and over there, and travel is another problem. I guess it pretty much sums up that I think some way, someplace, somehow, there's a possibility that we can find a way to give seniors affordable housing in Eugene, and losing people in Eugene as seniors, well, they're your constituents, so I don't think you want to lose them either. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Next, we will hear from Dwayne Miller, followed by Nancy Onhurt. Is there a Dwayne Miller in the room?
There's something wrong with the name. Dwayne, Nick, M-I-C-K.
Oh, sorry about that, Dwayne.
On the same topic that Nancy just spoke of. I'm a resident of the Eugene Hotel, recent one, been there 1 year this month, just about today. Since I moved in, there have been 5, I've had definitely 4, and it looks like 5 increases. And that's partially due to the fact that I moved in right at a time of a change. And then corporate came in and there was another 7% increase. And then partly just recently, another 14% increase. And it seems like an awful rapid rate of increase in rent with no difference in my particular ability to stay there. And I just wonder if there's rent control or what a number of us are facing over there in terms of having to move, perhaps because we just don't, with our old retirement abilities. And I guess I just want to bring that to the attention of to the situation in town, that rents and moving is out of the question for a good many of us. So I thank you for your time and just thank you again.
Thank you, Dwayne. Next, we will hear from Nancy Honert, followed by David Piccioni.
I'm Nancy Honert, Ward 2. The Oregon Secretary of State's office has reported that Northwest Natural Gas has contributed over $650,000 to the campaign to overturn Eugene's ordinance banning natural gas in new low-rise residential construction. This is an attempt to buy the election. Northwest Natural Gas wants to expand the use of natural gas into new construction to increase their already substantial profits, though the UN Secretary General warned investing in new fossil fuels infrastructure is moral and economic madness. They have tried to appeal to people who are disgruntled with the homeless crisis, economic concerns, and other issues which have nothing to do with this ordinance. They are trying to paint this as an issue about personal freedom and choice, which it is not, any more than lead paint and indoor smoking are. But plenty of people with no axes to grind and no profit motive support this common sense ordinance. At an Oregon League of Conservation Voters virtual town hall on February 23rd, Eugene state legislators, Senators James Manning, Representative Julie Fahey, and Representative Nancy Nathanson all endorsed this ordinance. Members of at least 8 Eugene nonprofit and public service groups support it. 31 building industry professional firms signed a letter urging Eugene to adopt policies to transition homes and buildings in Eugene from polluting fossil fuels to renewable electricity. The Active Bethel community sent a letter supporting the ordinance. We have your backs. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Next, we'll hear from David Piccioni, followed by Carrie Anderson.
Hello, it's fun to come here, an opportunity to dress up, almost as much fun as going to court. But so I want people to understand that there's 2 types of ways of obtaining electricity. First, I'll say my house is entirely powered by electricity, but I don't feel great about it. The 2 types of ways of obtaining electricity are what we call the renewables, which are solar, wind, geothermal, and tidal. For Eugene, or whether you look at the entire world population of almost 8 billion people, that's not happening. We're not producing enough energy through those means to power all of these people, whether, like I said, the world or Earth. So the other way to produce electricity is you have a facility that's burning some kind of fossil fuel somewhere else, probably methane, coal, petroleum, gas, gasoline, diesel. This is not a fossil fuel, but biomass too is burned. Nuclear is just horrible. But these methods, what they do is they make water boil. They burn them, they make water boil. The steam turns a turbine, which consists of a permanent magnet surrounded by an electromagnet. When this is spun, electricity is generated. So whether you do this directly at home by burning methane in your home, or you do it somewhere far away, the actual thermodynamics indicate that I don't like fossil fuels at all. And, it's going to make the planet unlivable. But transporting the electricity, you have to raise the voltage a number of times along the way and then lower it. And that you lose so much energy along the way that if you do this in some far off place, or even if you put it in batteries, the batteries contain lithium, cadmium, things that are toxic. There's wars in Africa, everywhere over this. So anyway, I'm gonna add things to my blog that haven't been published because I'm not getting published anymore for politics. So if you want to read more about this, I'll explain it. It's all explained and I'll explain more. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Next, we'll hear from Carrie Anderson, followed by Okay, thank you, Carrie. Next, we will hear from Ula McKinney, followed by David Eigel.
Hi, my name is Eula, and my friend told me to tell you that I'm 87. And they've upped our rent so much that we gotta consider trying to get another place to live. And we don't know where that's going to be or if we can do it. But the Social Security is not gonna be up enough to make a difference, I think. And so I'm looking for a piece of property maybe I can build a house on or something. So in the meantime, that's where I'm at. Thank you.
Thank you, Eula. Next, we will hear from David Eigel, followed by Abigail Gravatt.
I'm David Eigel, Ward 1. I would like to add my voice against racism and religious bigotry. As a born and raised Eugenian, I was fortunate enough to be raised in a community largely populated by some very nice people. Unfortunately, some people like Jennifer Ye and Greg Evans have since moved here and engaged in race baiting and religious bigotry. In 2016, I began documenting the fraudulent local history that is not only being distributed using public institutions and funds. I furnished documentation to the council. Professor Frederick Dunn was a kind, brilliant, loving individual who was mourned across Oregon when he died in 1937 after a lifetime of public service. 25 years later, at the request of the noted civil rights activist who voted President Arthur Fleming, Hall was dedicated in 1962. No one was opposed. 30 years later, in 1992, in a crackpot, non-peer-reviewed article written by Eckhart Tolle, Dunn was first falsely described as the chairman of the local chapter. In 1921, crooked fraternal order salesmen were telling wild stories to facilitate membership sales. In 1922, Dean Sheldon's letter to a mutual friend noted that he had heard that Dunn was the head of the local chapter. He wrote that the whole thing was very silly. In Toy's article, Sheldon's very silly was converted into Dunn becoming the head of the local chapter. In 2017, Greg Evans helped Michael Schultz promote the smear of Professor Dunn. In 2022, the disgraceful misrepresentation of history entitled Racing to Change exhibit at the Lane County History Museum loaded with gross information. One simple example illustrates, it says that the Eugene Morning Register was a Klan paper, et cetera, et cetera. Problem is, no such paper existed in Eugene at that time. There were two separate papers, neither of them which were Klan papers or owned by Klan's members, and they both published anti-Klan articles. It's time now to honor Professor Dunn. It wouldn't cost you a penny. Even something as simple as a resolution by the council regretting what's been done in the past and praising this man for his lifetime of love and service to this community would be appropriate. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Next, we will hear from Abigail Gravatt, followed by Sabrina Siegel.
Hello, Mayor Venice, Eugene City Council. My name is Abby Gravatt, and I'm a resident of Ward 2. I'm a student at the University of Oregon studying environmental studies, and I'm the director of the Climate Justice League on campus. I want to begin by thanking you for putting in the difficult work to pass Oregon's first residential electrification ordinance. It means a lot to me and the other students on campus who have fought long and hard for this win. I support the ordinance and future steps to ensure that we are meeting our climate recovery ordinance commitments. I'm here today to inform you all about what's been going on campus and around Eugene. Others have spoke on this regarding the canvassers from Eugene Residents for Energy Choice, which is funded solely by Northwest Natural. Last week, I was on campus and ran into one of these paid canvassers. I asked what they were canvassing for, and a man rapidly jumped into a difficult to follow, quickly spoken speech, memorized about lies and misleading information. When I informed him I was not registered to vote here in Eugene, he raised his voice at me and asked where all the Eugene voters were hiding. False information aside, it was an off-putting experience. He said that the transition to clean renewable electricity would give oil companies a monopoly. I also saw other canvassers walking alongside uninterested students, badgering them to sign without the students even knowing what they were signing. The paid work of manipulative canvassers undermines all the hard work that you, community members, and students have been putting into the campaign for this ordinance. I am not paid to do this work. I and other students have full-time class schedules and jobs, but make time to come to city council meetings to testify for the sake of our future. Northwest Natural thinks that this is a game and it can lie and cheat its way out of. This is not a game. This is my future. This is Eugene's future. And this is the planet's future. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Abigail. Next, we will hear from Sabrina, followed by Kiesia Bagenstos. Sabrina, I'm going to allow you to speak. Give me just a moment. All right, Sabrina, you can go ahead and unmute.
Thank you. Hello, good evening. I wanted to just remind everyone that we are absolutely living in a public health emergency with the densification of the wireless 5G and smart meters on our homes right now. There are thousands of studies, many collected by our government, that show the grave dangers of wireless microwave radiation. One such study is a $3 million study commissioned by the EU comparing the effects on cells of nuclear radiation and wireless radiation. And it showed that the wireless radiation is more damaging to cells than nuclear radiation. Have you heard about that one? That's a very significant study commissioned by the EU government. And you probably heard that we have absolutely no safety standards. All this technology is up around us, and the FCC was told to recreate their safety standards by the courts because they don't reflect science. And so all this tech is around us with absolutely nothing to protect us, no safety standards. And the safety standards that do exist are said to be hundreds to thousands of times too low. And who is going to protect the citizens? Also, for those of us that are concerned about the environment and the electricity usage, the wireless technology, it takes way more electricity to use. And it's said that it will require 170 to 300% more electricity in the next 2 years. So, and many of us are suffering. These 5G towers are going up around schools, around homes. More people are becoming electrosensitive with neurological disorders, brain disorders, heart disorders, cancer. And, you know, if you're concerned about equality and, you know, people with disabilities are suffering.
Thank you, Sabrina. Your time has concluded. Next, we will hear from Kiesia Bagenstos, followed by William Smith.
Hi, my name is Kiesia Bagenstos, and I'm a freshman at the University of Oregon, studying journalism and public policy. I'm here today on behalf of students at the University of Oregon. I want to raise awareness to the City Council today about parking and ticketing issues that University of Oregon students face every day. As many of you know, students that attend the Pac-12 University of Oregon pay tens of thousands of dollars each year to attend the university. Many students, including myself, have received parking tickets on behalf of the city of Eugene. There are parking meters and parking signs that indicate people can park for free for 2 hours or pay at a meter by the hour, which adds up to students' pockets. I'm here today to propose that the city of Eugene reconsider the parking regulations that surround my college campus. putting an unnecessary financial barrier on students. On 17th Street behind the dorm of Kalapuya Ilahi, multiple students receive multiple parking tickets a day, and not to mention the parking meter actually is not currently working on 17th Street, which sets students up for failure, resulting in more parking tickets. I ask that you consider making street parking in Eugene more accessible to the University of Oregon students and anyone else who resides near the U of O campus who have encountered the street parking issues. I ask that you increase the free parking to at least 4 hours and make sure that the parking meters are actively working if City of Eugene employees are going to go out and be giving tickets. Thank you for your time and happy Black History Month.
Thank you, Kiesia. Next, we will hear from William Smith, followed by Patricia Hine.
Thank you. William Smith, Ward 1, here to talk about wireless safety and broadband infrastructure. And I'm going to continue to relate it to the social equity, the economy, and the environment, also known as the triple bottom line. Last time I talked about the downtown business owner that I met who didn't know about the downtown fiber optic network. And as a result, we'll have to pay around $1,000 more each year for 2 years that he could have reinvested in his business instead of it going off to big shareholders outside of the city. So one great way to boost the economy would be to keep this money in. Now multiply that out by however many other businesses don't know about this, and people beyond the downtown fiber optic network currently who also could enjoy these savings if the network were to expand. Social equity, when you give people 1 gigabyte per second access that's safe, they're not irradiating themselves when they use it. It does amazing things for them to be able to participate meaningfully in society and the economy without getting sick or reducing their immune system so that they're more vulnerable to getting sick, to viruses, to the various toxins that are in our environment. This is a real basic. And then finally, the environment, one more time. If you want to do a real science experiment, many of us, I think it's now 80% of us have phones that have magnetometers in them. So you can download for free EMF detectors and find out for yourself. Go into your bedroom before you take this checklist and look and see, how is the radiation in your bedroom where your body's trying to regenerate from whatever. And or you can buy one of these devices for $400, which is a little more accurate. And and this could tell you, well, just take that Wi-Fi and hook it up to the fiber optic network directly, and you'll immediately make this a part of the environment more healthy for everyone. It's not too hard. Once you do it, you don't have to think about it anymore. Thank you.
Thank you, William. Next, we will hear from Patricia Hine, followed by Rita Kingsley.
Good evening. My name is Patricia Hine. I live in the county. Thank you for the opportunity to make a brief statement for the record this evening. You've put in an enormous amount of work to do what city councils do, create policy that advances the health and welfare of its citizenry. I speak specifically about the long-awaited vote on February 6th to change the building code so Eugene can start to achieve our greenhouse gas emission reductions pursuant to our CRO and climate action plan. You've heard a lot of people talk about what the canvassers did when they were out here for the Friends of, what is it called? Eugene Residents for Energy Choice. You've heard what the canvassers have been misinforming folks and how they've been acting towards folks, and also how much money was put in within just one day, over $500,000 by this AstroTurf group. I won't repeat that, but their complaint was also that there hadn't been enough public input. And I am sorry, but I have been for 5 years publicly inputting with dozens and dozens and scores of my friends who are here as Eugenians who have been demanding climate action for years on end. So if the complaint was that there wasn't enough public input, and I say that there was ample, If Northwest Natural is now making up for not being productively engaged when they were large lever shareholders back then in all those meetings, maybe they're making up with it with gobs of their cash and joining with groups like the Chamber of Commerce and Traveling County, whose members I doubt would approve of their approach. Do they know they paid their signature gatherers $350,000 inside of 8 days? $38,000 a day? How much are they going to spend in November for the vote? Does that feel like grassroots support? Does that feel like they're buying votes? I wonder. The Chamber of Commerce and Traveling County members work to improve the livelihoods of this community. I think the actions of Northwest Natural in this AstroTurf campaign are anti-democratic and undermine a very popular policy. We've long known Eugenians want action on climate, and despite a disinformation campaign soaked in money, we know this well thought out policy is the right thing to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Patricia. Next, we will hear from Rita Kingsley, followed by Mike Charlton.
Hello, I'm Rita Kingsley, and I live at the Eugene Hotel, and I am 96 years old. I have lived there approximately 13 years. The policy at the hotel is a 3% increase of rent every year. So for 12 years, I have been paying 3% more every year. And we really, really need tenant protection and displacement prevention assistance. Now, I understand economics, and I understand that there's just so much the government can do for you. But also, how much can you tighten your belt? My clothes are now hand-me-downs. My 3 pairs of shoes need half soles, which I can't afford to pay anymore. And really, there's just a limit to how much we can pay with our Social Security. And the hotel is not a hotel to me. It's my home. I've lived there almost 13 years. So, I mean, where am I going from here? I don't know. So please help us so that the rents do not become out of reach. We had 4 people leave the hotel this week alone because they can't afford to stay there anymore. And the longer we stay, the rent keeps going up, and it just doesn't work out. So please help us at the Eugene Hotel. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rita. Next, we will hear from Mike Charlton, followed by Dan Staso.
My name is Mike Charlton. I live in Ward 2, and I'm here before you, as a number of people have been, in support of the conversion to electricity. There are a lot of reasons that justify your decision and undermine the decision or the posture of Northwest Natural. Even though natural gas was once thought to be an ideal bridge source of energy from coal and petroleum to far more sustainable sources like hydro, wind, others, but it's now known that those findings, that argument, was not correct. And it wasn't correct because we now know that there is methane being introduced into the atmosphere at virtually every level of natural gas production. That goes all the way from the wellhead to your stove or to your water heaters or whatever else that you're using with natural gas. But the problem with the the methane, of course, as you probably already know, and many people have probably told you, that it is probably the largest contributor to climate change than virtually any other substance around. Oil and gas corporations are the largest sources of methane emissions, and under the net emissions by 2050 standards, they're going to continue to comprise a very large portion of the overall energy mix until at least 2030. The U.S. is second only to Russia in the amount of methane that we produce and into the atmosphere. There's now some evidence, as you've heard a lot, I'm sure, that there are chances of health hazards to vulnerable populations, the aging, the children, people with asthma. And that's another argument against Northwest Natural. But finally, I think the major issue is that natural gas just isn't very efficient. When you heat your house with natural gas, or when you cook with natural gas.
Thank you, Mike. Your time has concluded. Next, we will hear from Dan Staso, followed by Kevin Cronin.
Would just like to ask this woman with the sign to please put the sign down. I was very specific about the rules. So please, yes, you have free speech. You may speak. But I'm sorry. I was very specific about the rule. There's a reason for the rule, and I would like you to abide by it. Free speech is free speech. Well, then you've missed your chance to speak.
The First Amendment does not apply.
Excuse me. I think we can escort you out, or you can put your sign down.
The First Amendment doesn't.
First Amendment applies here, absolutely. Yes, I've asked you not to put a sign. That was a house rule, and thank you very much. Thank you. Excuse me, sorry.
Dan Staso. I'm a retired psychologist and of Ward 7. Lindsay, hello. So I'm here to basically express a concern I have on a much larger scope. I'm asking for your awareness, and I guess we all deal with threats and protection. I'm very concerned about the World Economic Forum and the Great Reset, which is happening as we speak. If you don't know about the World Economic Forum, it's a consortium of 1,000 of the largest corporations of the world. And the person who leads it, his name is Klaus Schwab. And he wrote a book in June of 2020, which I bought and I read. He made it very clear in that book. He said, even though, and I'm quoting him, even though COVID-19 will go down in history as the least lethal pandemic in the last 2,000 years, it's a good reason to start the Great Reset. Now, the Great Reset is going to change everybody's life on the planet from top down. The Biden administration is 100% behind it. He's behind the Agenda 2030, as well as the World Health Organization. What I am concerned about is, as this money is flowing this way, our way, it's going to come to Oregon, it's going to come to Eugene. And I would like all of us to be aware of what that means to us personally, because Klaus Schwab has gone on record as saying, by 2030, we will own nothing and be happy. I am quoting him. You can go to his website. This is not a secret. This is open for discussion. So I'm personally concerned. And what I see and what I read is that there's a movement to bringing everybody in the surrounding of Eugene into Eugene to create a smart city. And the 5G is a cornerstone of that smart city. It's the Internet of Things, 5G, followed by 6G, which is the Internet of Bodies. This is not a secret. This is all open. So I invite all of you to become aware of what's going on and make this a real issue, because it will affect you personally, me personally, and everybody behind me, everybody in this city. That's why I came here to talk. I had nothing else really to say, but I wanted to speak like on a broader scale about how I see the world. And
Thank you, Dan. Your time has concluded. Next, we will hear from Kevin Cronin, followed by Richard Locke.
Hi, City Councilors. For the record, my name is Kevin Cronin and I live in Ward 8. I'm here to urge you to support the Eugene Renter Protections Phase 2 proposal, which includes capping security deposits, reducing discrimination, and displacement prevention in response to large rent hikes. My intention is also to provide extensive written comment that will address the different levers of this policy that Councilor Zelenka, I believe, requested. I want to share some specific concerns that have been brought up in response to the ordinance language being published, specifically in regards to exemptions listed in section 17, subsection M, numbers 2, 3, 4, and 7. These exemptions create loopholes that will ultimately harm tenants, especially those who rent from smaller landlords. Exemption 7 is particularly ripe for abuse and creates a loophole in the ordinance. As tenant advocates have proposed, a small landlord compensation fund would help minimize the number of exemptions and ensure that all tenants are protected. It was drawn up specifically to address possible economic hardships for those that are now being exempted. This means that tenants living in middle housing or renting an ADU have less protections than everybody else. And I'm hoping that somebody can justify to me why tenants of small landlords deserve less rights than everybody else. I urge you to strike those exemptions and instead support the small landlord compensation fund that would support mom and pop landlords that might otherwise qualify for these exemptions and support tenants that are embracing innovative new accommodations like middle housing. Alternatively, if council decides that the exemptions must remain, I ask that you allow tenants of exempted landlords to also access the hardship fund so that they can enjoy the same protections as everybody else. While this approach would probably cost the city a lot more money, it would ensure that all tenants are equally protected from displacement and the risk of falling into homelessness would be prevented. It's a worthwhile investment in this community. Thank you so much for your consideration. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Kevin. Next, we will hear from Richard Locke, followed by Eva Bortnick.
Hi, I'm Rich Locke, Mid-Valley Metals, Ward 8, a business owner. I want to thank all my regulars out here for the victory lap celebration that we saw last city council meeting. That was awesome. And now to find that we're in the same view. What I want to talk about now is here and now environmental stewardship. If we go for a walk through the city, and many people do, they walk, ride their bikes and stuff, it's just a rat hole everywhere. There's garbage blowing all over everywhere. It's piled up all over everywhere. We have open sewage all along the Amazon Canal, you know, Amazon Creek. You guys know that I've been going down there, touring that area, bringing it to everybody's attention, and we just can't seem to control that private property on the north bank of that. And I know that Cherie Nelson is working on it, but I would really like to see that public space be safe this year for the first time in probably forever, and cleaned up, and we start respecting the here and now environmental. It's great. I'm glad that we can have a victory lap for the global community. But what about Eugene now? We need to focus in on the here and now. Give us something to be proud of again. That's what we used to be. The cleanest city in America. And now look at us. Thank you.
Thank you, Rich. Next, we will hear from Eva Bortnick, followed by our final speaker, Merle Grable. Eva, go ahead and unmute.
Okay, can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Okay. So I just wanted to say that I support the comments of previous people who have spoken about their electrosensitivity, like Sabrina and the one who spoke for Ingrid. This is a real crisis. You cannot keep on putting radiation in the air and thinking that it's okay just because it's invisible. It isn't. This also goes for the electrification. You are going to evict all electrosensitives and people who will become electrosensitive due to the 5G build out and to the electrification in buildings. The National Institutes of Building Sciences put out an indoor quality, air quality report that is 68 pages. And I would like to advise that you take up that report and implement it in the city of Eugene, which addresses both chemical and electrical sensitivity. People seem to be talking about the chemical sensitivity, but forgetting about the electrosensitives. This includes children. You must protect the children as well. Building out 5G and the smart cities and the smart meters is like putting an Escher stairscape, MC Escher stairscape, all over the city for electrosensitives and people that would become electrosensitive. Eugene is a progressive city, but you must understand that electromagnetic radiation is the biggest danger. Somebody was talking about the Great Reset earlier. This is entirely related to 5G and the electrification of the air. Also, even with climate change, have people looked into how microwave radiation from all this 5G and cell towers are contributing to weather, considering the energy is heat? So these things have to be looked at. And I want to advise that you put in your ordinance that wires, if that ordinance goes through, put in twisted and shielded wiring must be there so that you protect children and the vulnerable. And again, I will send you a copy of the National Institutes of Building Sciences Indoor Environmental Quality Report. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Eva. Next, we will hear from our final speaker, Merle Grable.
Good evening. If there's any interruption in the microphone, it isn't your fault. I stutter, and but be that as it may, I moved into the Eugene Hotel about a year ago. I found out later at the same time that it changed hands from a local community owner to a California capital management firm. It went along fine until we started talking about rent for next year. The manager said we were going to start with a customary 3%. It ended up with 12%. And you've heard people here. And it's been it's an increasing point of contention and frustration. I'm wondering, is this the way the Oregon way to treat seniors? As you know, the 14% translates into between $2,400 and $3,000 a year, more, or about $220 to $300. So I know that you have marginal involvement, but we need to build the case to the state, and we ask for your help. Thank you.
Thank you, Merle. Mayor, that was our final speaker.
Thank you so much. I appreciate all of you for taking the time to testify, either virtually or right here in the room, and particularly appreciate the folks who came in from Eugene Hotel to talk about the rent increases that you're facing and what a dire situation that is. So thank you for bringing that information to our attention. I have several counselors who want to speak. So Councilor Keating, Councilor Semple, Councilor Keating, and Councilor Ye. Okay, take it away.
Thank you, Eugene Hotel residents, Nancy, Dwayne, Eula, Rita, Merle, and anybody I forgot. I had the pleasure of speaking with you last Thursday about these dire problems. And thank you to Kevin for helping us all gather together. I appreciate you coming here so much. Thank you for your advocacy and standing up for yourselves. This is how things get changed. I'm not sure how to rescue seniors from this diabolical scheme, but I want to. And we are working on the displacement help. You made my heart feel good, so keep it up. Thank you for all the roses last time. It was really nice. Your support meant so very much to us. And 5G, thank you for your perseverance. I know it's a real uphill battle with not a lot of people on board. But thank you for the idea of turning off the wireless at night. That had not occurred to me. I can't get the phone farther away than I can hear it in case somebody almost gets in a car accident or something. But I realized I could put a timer from my holiday lights onto my wireless, and then I wouldn't even have to worry about it, except when I woke up in the middle of the night and I know how to fix the timer. So thank you, all of you, for coming, and all of you online. This was a really fantastic forum, a lot of subjects and a lot of new people. And I didn't cover all of the subjects for people, but I'm grateful to you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Keating.
Thank you, Mayor, and a happy early birthday to Councilor Semple. Similar to Councilor Semple, I want to thank the Eugene Hotel residents who came out tonight. Merle, Eula, Nancy, Wayne, who used to live in my neighborhood in South Eugene, and Rita, who's 96, the same age as my grandma Keating, my last surviving grandparent. I'm thanking you for being here. You could make a strong argument. I'm going to choose my words very carefully, Mayor, but you could make a strong argument that what's happening at the Eugene Hotel by the new owners is age discrimination. In that the seniors being affected, living on a fixed income, receiving a 14% rent hike is criminal, or should be. I'm appalled, I'm sickened, and I'm pissed off hearing about such a travesty. And I hope everyone within earshot shares such a visceral reaction. I also want to address those who showed up tonight to thank council for the action we took and to call out some of the falsehoods being shared by petition gatherers, paid canvassers who are peddling misinformation, to the Eugene residents for energy misinformation. Actually, let me curb that, Mayor. To folks who are advocating for a healthier planet and a healthy future, please keep coming to council. Please keep writing letters to the editor. Please keep pounding the pavement to combat the misinformation. I saw it this weekend several times. It's framed falsely as taking away one's choice. Children, our next generation, have no choice. Renters like myself have no choice. And I am offended that choice is being used or abused in this particular case, Mayor. And finally, there was a gentleman, Rich, I believe it was, who called our home just a rat hole. Mayor, I had some of my best and some of my oldest friends visit Eugene this weekend. One took the train, one took a plane, one drove down from Portland. We had a blast of a time. We saw a movie at the Broadway Metro. We had waffles downtown. We saw Star Wars Return of the Jedi Symphony Saturday night at the Holt Center. And we laughed and shared memories. And I was so pleased beyond words to share the beauty and the richness of our community. And I just want to say, Mayor, that our community is anything but a rat hole. That's offensive beyond words. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Counselor Ye.
Yeah, thank you. So thank you, Mayor. Thanks also to my colleagues for what you've said tonight. I really appreciate both of your comments. I want to thank the young lady, and I think she's already gone, who reminded us all that this is Black History Month. If you are interested in learning more about your community, as many of us are, there are some awesome resources in town. Peace, Health, Strides for Racial Justice is a really great resource that you can look into. There are multiple fantastic museums in our community. You don't have to take my word for that. But also there are great online resources if getting out is difficult or you just want to do it from the comfort of your couch. There's a lot of great resources out there, including Oregon Black Pioneers and NAACP, and just get your favorite Google machine out and there's a lot of surprising and uplifting and sometimes concerning history to learn about our own backyards.
Thank you very much for that reminder. And Councilor Groves.
Thank you, Mayor. And thank you to everybody that took the time to either come out down here to be with us for the meeting and speak, those who are watching, and also those at home that elected to use the virtual option of attending. It was a wide variety of issues that we heard tonight. I too am concerned about our seniors on fixed incomes and how they're being impacted, and really everyone who's low income and on a fixed income, and trying to find the right path for correcting some of this and also achieving a balance so that it's sustainable long term. So anyway, I look forward to getting into looking at the items around phase 2 and see how we can best come up with solutions that my hope is it brings people together rather than divides us. So anyway, thank you very much. And to Kevin, if you were citing some things, if you could email that to us, or at least me, I would sure appreciate that. So I just couldn't get it all down. So if I could see that, it'll just help me kind of formulate my thoughts and my questions as we get deeper into this. So I do appreciate the time you took to do that as well. So with that, thank you, and happy birthday, Emily.
Thank you. And Councilor Leach.
Thank you. I just want to echo my fellow counselors' sentiments tonight and thank all of you for coming out and spending your precious time talking to us and sharing your concerns. Public forum nights becoming one of my favorite things about being on council, because I get to hear from all of you and address the things that you are most interested in. So I too am looking forward to the next weeks and learning more about our renter protections and what we can do. So again, thank you.
Okay, thank you. I think that finishes the council comment. So we have one item of action. An ordinance providing for withdrawal of annexed properties from the following special districts: Goshen Rural Fire Protection District, Junction City Water Control District, Lane Fire Authority, River Road Parks and Recreation District, River Road Water District, Santa Clara Rural Fire Protection District, Santa Clara Water District, Willackenzie Rural Fire Protection District, and Willamette Lane Park and Recreation District. And so, Manager, do you want to speak to that briefly?
The purpose of annexation withdrawals is to remove recently annexed properties from their respective special service districts, as you just mentioned. These withdrawals come before the council on an annual basis. The 2023 batch contains 11 annexations approved by the city council in 2022 for a total of 17 tax lots.
Okay, any questions or comments about that from council? All right, motion on the table, please.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to adopt an ordinance providing for withdrawal of annexed properties from the following special districts: Goshen Rural Fire Protection District, Junction City Water Control District, Lane Fire Authority, River Road Parks and Recreation District, River Road Water District, Santa Clara Rural Fire Protection District, Santa Clara Water District, Willackenzie Rural Fire Protection District, and Willamette Lane Park and Recreation District.
Second.
All in favor, please raise your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and that passes unanimously. Thank you so much. And with that, we are adjourned.